Okay. Then you guys are all in listen only mode until we get to the Q&A portion, but at any time while we're talking, feel free to just type your messages in the chat box, and Leslie and myself will be watching that to answer any questions that you all have. So just a little bit about what we're going to do in this next hour is just want to give you a better understanding of who Archon is, about our college overall. And then we've got one of our faculty members who teaches in the program who's going to talk with you guys about the content of the program. Leslie Burr, Director of Admission, is going to talk about admissions and financial aid options. And then we have two current students who are in the FNP program, so you can hear from them about their experiences and then give you all plenty of time to ask your questions to them or to Camille or Leslie as well. So as we kind of jump in, just a little bit about us, Research College of Nursing, our mission statement here, our vision statement, and our values you can see here. And really what this is about: educating nurses, developing leaders, and caring for our communities. And I know in talking with our students and working with our student ambassadors, I have seen our students live this out. I have seen our faculty live this out. Definitely working with the community around us where we're at here in Kansas City, Missouri, near right across the street from Research Medical Center, and definitely seen this lived out by our staff, our students, and our faculty every day. And we do have the vision to be the college of choice for nurses who desire to lead in practice, service, and advocacy. And you can see our values here that we try to instill every day in the work that we do, and how we're educating nurses. So a little bit about maybe why you might want to think about Research College of Nursing. I know we've got lots of our current students who are here, so you guys probably could talk about this better than I can. But a little bit just about us is that we are an award-winning academic practice partnership through Research Medical Center and HCA Midwest. And so there are multiple Kansas City hospitals in that partnership that work with us every day. You can see here a little bit about our school. We've been around in the Kansas City area for over 115 years, and all we've ever done is educate nurses. If you are currently working for HCA as an RN, you do get a 50% tuition discount on our program, and Leslie will talk with you more about that. We do have a very low faculty to student ratio. We are not a huge school. It's very much a family feel where you get to know people and people get to know you by name, and definitely the people. We've got a good mix of people who have spent their careers here of over 30 years and people who are new here. So a good mix of holding on to what has worked really well, but also looking to do new things and different things and innovative things. We are accredited both by CCNE and the Higher Learning Commission, and recently we were just ranked #1 in Kansas City by the Nursing Schools Almanac and #5 in the state of Missouri. And that really has to do with how well our students are doing with their exams, with their scores, with their graduation rates, and many other factors in there as well too. So those are some of the reasons why you might want to think about pursuing furthering your education at Research College of Nursing. And with that, I'm going to pass the baton over to Camille Williams, one of our faculty members, who's going to talk with you a little bit about the program details. So Camille, if you want to unmute and show your camera, we'll let you take it from here.
Hello, guys. Thanks for joining us this evening. I'm Camille Williams. I am one of the NP faculty teaching in the graduate program. I'm a family nurse practitioner for, it'll be 11 years in May. I teach health assessment and primary care. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the program. So it's a hybrid program, meaning that it's half on, not half, but on ground and online. So you'll start coming on campus once you get to health assessment. Classes are in Kansas City. They're always on Wednesdays. The program is 46 credit hours total. And by the completion of the program, you would have completed 720 clinical hours. The admits that we will admit in the spring will have to be finished by December 2024. So it will be a 2.5-year program for you all and basically full time. The website's there on the bottom of the page if you have more questions and want to get some more information. Please switch to the next slide, please. So this is just a breakdown of what it will look like, the 2.5 years. Everybody graduates in December, so that last fall of 2024 will be when you graduate. So all of your classes will be online until you get to that fall of year 2, where it says advanced health assessment, and then you'll start coming on ground at that point. So from that point on till every semester, you'll start coming on ground on those Wednesdays, and you'll start doing your clinicals that semester as well. Let's see. I think that's it. You can switch to the next slide. I'm sure they'll have questions about that, and we can go back if we need to. Just basically, the nurse practitioner role is just preparing you to provide primary care for families and individuals. And you can work in a variety of settings, doctor's offices, ER, urgent care, and you develop treatment plans, treat acute and chronic diseases, educate patients, do health promotion type of thing, do physical exams, diagnostic testing, those types of things. And of course, prescribe medications. So that's just a little snippet of the program. Do you guys have questions? Are we doing questions at the end? Sorry.
We're going to do questions at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, now it's me. For those of you I haven't met, I'm Leslie Burry. I'm the Director of Admission. I recognize a lot of names here of our current students, so that's always fun to see. Next, yeah, there you go. So requirements for coming into the program, you do need to have a BSN from an accredited nursing program with a GPA of 3.0 or higher on a 4.0 scale. Your BSN can come from an ACEN, CCNE, or CNEA accredited school. So those are important things to know. We can help you look that up if you're not sure. You do need to have a current RN license at the time of enrollment. I do say at the time of enrollment because we do admit students who are within 6 months of graduation. So if you're currently enrolled in a BSN program, you can still apply even though you may not have your RN license until the spring, but you do need to have it at the time you would start in June of 22. So the deadline for this cohort is January 15th to apply. That would be for a June 22 start. We will do interviews in the spring, probably sometime in mid-February. And as mentioned earlier, I think by both Camille and Susan, we are pausing admissions to the FN program after this cycle. So this cohort will graduate in December of 24. The application is on Nursing CAS. If you're one of our current students, you applied through Nursing CAS for our undergraduate program. Some of you at other schools may have also used Nursing CAS. You will submit the application, your official transcripts, 3 references, a resume, and a personal statement or a personal essay. So the essay, we're looking for good writing skills. Most students write about why they want to be an FNP, how the FNP fits into your future professional goals. Why do you want to do your FNP at Research College of Nursing? So we don't say specifically what it needs to be on, but those 3 topics are pretty popular. We wanted to see that you can write well. There's a lot of writing in the graduate program, so you want to be able to write well. So as Camille mentioned, our program is online for the first 4 semesters. So if you don't live in the metropolitan area right now, you can still complete those first 4 semesters while living in another state. However, we are only approved in the states you see on the slide to deliver online education. So if you live in a state that is not on this list, you can email me individually. We can look up your state. every state requires different things to be approved in that state. And some of them are very, very difficult and very costly. So currently, these are the states that you would need to reside in. Once you hit that fall semester with advanced health assessment, you probably need to live in the metropolitan area at that point, because you are going to have on-ground class, and then your clinicals are going to be in the greater Kansas City area as well. Susan mentioned the tuition discount for HCARN, so that is very popular. It is 50%. So if you do currently work for HCA, that's something that you might want to consider. All graduate students are eligible for unsubsidized student loans. So you can submit a FAFSA. You can get up to about $20,000 a year in unsub if you need that to help offset tuition cost. I might mention tuition is $5.50 a credit hour. So a standard 3 credit hour course is going to run you around $1,600. There are alternative loans, and our financial aid office can help you if you need additional loans. You have to be part-time to get loans. That won't be a problem, because you will be taking the required number of hours each semester. So you would be eligible for those unsubsidized Stafford loans. Financial aid office number is there as well. So if you have specifics about your financial situation, you can call Stacy Withers, our director of financial aid, and she can answer questions about that. So I jumped ahead on my Susan slide earlier, but so the 50% tuition discount is for a full-time HCARNs. If you are part-time, 25%. That is based on what your benefits are. So if you receive full-time benefits, full-time health insurance benefits from HCA, you are considered a full-time employee. So if you work weekend option, but you get full-time healthcare benefits, you are full-time for our discount. 25% would be the same. You do have to qualify for the part-time benefits through HCA to get the 25%. PRN does not qualify for either of the HCA discounts. If you work for HCA full-time, as we've done the math for you, you can get your FNP through us for less than $13,000 a year. So it's a very, it's very reasonable. That would also be taking into consideration any tuition reimbursement that you had from your employer. One caveat to that I want to mention is HCA tuition reimbursement does require that you stay for 2 years if you use the $5,250 every year that they allow. And so you do want to watch that and be careful, because once you finish your FNP, you may not be employed through HCA anymore. We have, I know of one graduate student who is technically an HCA employee as an FNP, but most of our students are going into primary care, urgent care, those kind of places. All right, Susan, do you want to introduce our student guests?
Yeah, we do have 2 student guests here who are currently pursuing their FNP, and I am going to let them both introduce themselves. And so Gladys, would you like to start? And then when Gladys is done with her introduction, Matthew, would you like to take it over there from there and just introduce yourself, and everybody be starting to think about your questions, because as soon as they get done, we'll open up the microphone so you guys can ask your questions. So Gladys, why don't you go ahead and tell them about yourself and your journey? Your microphone might be muted, so double check that. There you go.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up my video too, but I can't see it. I don't know what happened. So my name is Gladys Wachirakata, and I'm a FNP student. I graduated in December, and I'm also RN. I work at Truman Medical Center in the telemetry unit. I graduated in 2008 with my BSN, and prior to that, I did like LPN, BSN, kind of a bridge program. So I've been a nurse that long, and I decided to go back to school to pursue my master's in FNP. And it has been a tough journey, and it have taken a lot of work and effort. And I really chose research because it was one of the best schools that I think around here that was able to accommodate my schedule. And on top of that, I wanted to be in a place where it was like a community-based, where I would be able to see other students, even to be in one room with them, like when we meet in during class time. It was really, and has been really helpful to me. And that's why I chose that path. And on top of that, we have very good faculties at Research College, and they're there for you. They're there to listen to you. If you have any question or any need, you can always reach out to them. They just work with you throughout the journey, and that is the best thing about Research College. And also on top of that, even the tuition, they offer one of the best competitive tuition, really pretty much considering other colleges, even around Kansas City. So that is the other thing that made me choose Research College. And this journey has been pretty much, as I said, it's intense. You have to be prepared. You have to plan ahead from your work schedule, family matters, and everything else. And your commitment have to be 100%. And I can't stress enough the amount of hours that you have to devote yourself with school assignment, and also working hard to learn the materials, because it's a lot of material to cover, but it's something that is very doable. As I said, Research College have very good faculty, and their program structure is very good. And I think anyone trying to pursue this path should jump in and just do that. It's worth it.
Thank you so much, Gladys. Matthew, would you like to do your introduction?
Can you hear me? Okay. Hi, I'm Matthew Daniel. So just like Glass, we're just about ready to graduate. Just kind of going through the questions here, kind of what pushed me to the FNP path. Have like a little bit of a unique or maybe unusual background. So I actually have a chiropractic doctorate, and I practiced for about 5 years with that, private family practice, and just kind of wanted to do more complete, like well-rounded healthcare. Had the urge to go back and do some school, and when I was kind of researching it, the FNP path kind of made the most sense for me. So went to Research College for the Accelerated Option Bachelor's, graduated with that in December of 2018, and then right away applied to the FNP program. So kind of echoing the last comments, like why I chose Research College of Nursing, the tuition reimbursement program and discount program through in partnership with HCA is just, you can't beat it. You can't match it. You get a good education for an incredible price. And even if you don't do the discount program, it's still very competitive tuition rates. And the school, they're good at working with you. I've had a lot of luck talking to the different professors, and the different faculty in admissions and other departments are very pleasant. And work. So I'm working weekend option over at Research Hospital. I work in the oncology unit. So that does count as full-time for benefits. So even with the weekend option, you only work the 2 days a week. That still counts for the discount over research at the college, pardon me. And that is actually something I would highly recommend if you're going in. I don't know how my peers that work full-time, like actual full-time, did it. Weekend option saved my butt more than once. Had having that, just working on the weekends and having the rest of the week to do school and clinicals was a lifesaver. Then plans for after graduation. I think I'd like to just sleep for a solid like week. Starting to interview for jobs, studying some more for boards. Had a job interview today, hence the tie. So that's kind of that. I want to work outpatient primary care or like a musculoskeletal setting. And you do have a pretty broad degree of what you want to do, can do with an FNP, which is part of the real benefit of it. You can go just about any direction you want. And one thing to help prepare for grad school, part of it was getting that weekend option position because I knew I would want the time during the week. Really highly recommend sitting down if you have a spouse, loved one, kids, talking about what the next couple of years of your life is going to be like, because you're not going to have a lot of free time. There are social events that you'll miss. There are a lot of things that you won't have the time to do because you have to write never-ending discussion posts and read hundreds of pages of textbooks and learn all that information and do your clinical hours and find your clinical sites. So I think going into it with a really good understanding with your partner, kids, whatever, of that there are times you're going to have to really, like, in a way, be kind of selfish. You have to take care of yourself and get this stuff done so you can enjoy the other side. So I think that was a really important thing I did to prepare. I'd done some grad school before, so I kind of knew what I was getting into. I think something that would have been helpful to do more than I did was early on trying to tackle finding clinical sites. It is a bear, trying to find your different primary care and women's health, especially women's health and pediatrics. Those locations book out a year or more in advance. So one thing, like as soon as you're enrolled and starting up, talk to your advisor, figure out what your clinical hours requirements are going to look like, and start talking to offices. That you can't do it soon enough, because it's like a part-time job in and of itself trying to find clinical sites. And I think that's about it.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Mhm.
So those of you who are participating, now is the time. If you would like to unmute your microphone or type a question in the chat for either of our students or Camille or Leslie, now's your time to get your questions answered.
I have a question. For the admissions essay, do you guys want an APA with like the headings?
I think Camille could answer that since she reads those in the admissions, but I don't think they're quite that picky. Camille?
No, they're not that formal. No,
Yeah.
just an essay, like a reflection kind of. There's no formal format at all.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Great question.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Shawnee, go ahead.
Oh, hi. Yeah. I have a coworker who is about to graduate in December, and she mentioned something about a DNP program replacing the FNP program. Is that in the works, or do you have a time frame for that?
Like, I love the dead silence. Nobody knows what, nobody quite wants to answer. So, so part of the reason that we are doing the pause on admissions right now is that we are going to hire a firm. We have hired a firm, and we are going to do a needs analysis. We're going to look at what Kansas City needs. We're going to continue to look at the MSN essentials that are dictating kind of what type of education an FNP student needs to come out with. And if we find that that is a DNP, then that may be the direction that we go. We just don't know right now. Camille, I don't know if there's any more that you want to add to that, but we really don't know what we're going to do or when it's going to happen, unfortunately.
Yes, we're kind of going along as the information comes. So we don't know for sure. If I had to guess, I would say yes, we will, but I don't know when.
I will say that I believe, and you all can do some research on your own, and maybe Camille can tell me if I'm correct, but there are programs around that are postmasters DNPs. So if you receive an MSN, you can go finish that DNP. It's just right now, that's not something we offer. In the future, we hope we will. But as of right now, you can still practice as an FNP with your MSN. So the DNP is not required.
Right. And they will have to grandfather you in if you graduate with your MSN before. And definitely there's a million postmasters DNP programs.
Great question.
Thank you.
Hi, I have a quick question.
Sure.
So just to clarify, so the program starts in June, correct?
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
And then,
yes.
so that this is the last class that you'll be accepting, and then that's what you're going to pause, and then you're going to like reevaluate to see if you need to do like a DMP, right?
You are absolutely 100% correct.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a few questions. I'm sure a few of you faculty know me because I've been emailing a lot of you. So I know you guys said you're pausing the FNP program, and you answered the question of if we were to get our FNP through research, we would possibly be grandfathered in if they were to introduce a DNP program. In terms of the other tracks that were available before, like the executive healthcare, executive leadership or something like that, are those also like going to that same thing of maybe possibly turning into a doctorate or something, or is it just completely just
they are paused as of right now. Again, looking at kind of the needs analysis. To be really honest with you, we just didn't have enough students in either of those two tracks, the executive or the nurse educator, to make it fiscally a responsible thing to do. Okay. And I think part of it is there are a lot of programs around, and we're a small school, maybe people don't know about us, but so those are pausing. I think there's more likelihood of us maybe doing a DMP than there is likelihood that either of those tracks are going to come back right now.
Okay.
And I do want to clarify what you said. So when we talk about grandfathering in, that's from a professional standpoint. And what that means is, let's say in 2025, they say every nurse practitioner who's going to practice has to have a DNP. If you're already practicing with your MSN, you would be grandfathered in. So that means that you would not necessarily have to go get the DNP to continue to practice.
Okay.
Now you could do a postmaster's DNP if you wanted.
Okay. And if research were to then have that DNP option, would there be a track for those who already obtained their MSN FNP through research?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think we would love to accommodate our own graduates in that path moving forward.
Okay. And then I think you guys mentioned this earlier, but how many credits totals for this program? Is it 12,500 per the year or for the entire program if you were working?
If you are an HCA employee and you also take your tuition reimbursement, that is the entire program.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Now, like I did say, though, and I don't know if Matthew's doing this or not, but if your last year of the program, if you take that $5,250 in tuition reimbursement that HCA provides to all of their employees, you're agreeing to stay there for 2 years. And a lot of our students aren't necessarily going to be employed at HCA as an FNP because there's not a lot of acute care FNP jobs for for FNPs. That's just not where the jobs are going to be for you. So that might come down a little bit. Some students decide that they need to work part-time that last year. I mean, I don't know what Gladys's work situation is. Matthew's is ideal because he's doing that weekend option. But if you work full-time during the week, that's hard to do and get your class and clinical done. So some students have dropped to part-time. So
Okay.
that's probably best. The 12.5 would be best case scenario, but $5.50 a credit hour. If you contact KU and UMKC and some of the other programs in the area, I think you'll find that we are very competitive in our graduate tuition. We have not raised our graduate tuition rate for a number of years.
Yeah.
I
I
know when I
believe it
looked
because
at,
I came from New Jersey for the ABSN program, and in comparison to the East Coast, even for the FNP, it's just a drastic difference. When you say 2 years, is this like commitment to work for the HCA after the 2 years of the program?
Yeah, so there's every HCA employee has tuition reimbursement, and many hospitals offer tuition reimbursement to their employees who want to better their education. So if you are an RN working at Research Medical Center, you can take $52.50 a year from your employer to put it towards furthering your education. When you do that, you agree to stay for 2 years. So if you do that your last year of FNP school, and then you get a job somewhere outside of
Oh.
HCA, then you have some money to pay back.
Okay, I see.
Because like I said, I have a friend who works for someone, works in a physician group that is HCA, but she's one of the few students that I know who actually got an FNP job within HCA.
Okay. But essentially that first year, if we're working full time for the HCA hospital, that 550 to 52 thing would
Yeah,
count.
you could take that your first year because you're going to be working for at least 2 more years while you finish the program.
Okay.
And I don't know, Matthew, can you comment on any of that?
you pretty much covered it. If you do the tuition reimbursement, you just have to really be careful that you're applying for it at the right time and submitting all like the grade reports and all that. Otherwise you won't get the reimbursement.
Okay.
But,
And then I know you said you're doing weekend option, Matthew. So I know when I was doing my interviews for the like ABSN program, a lot of the interviewers said that they don't hire us new grad nurses for weekend option. We would have to wait a year to 2 years. So I guess 3 days a week, if we're working during the weekday, like you said, it will kind of interfere with school.
mm-hmm.
Correct.
Yeah,
So-
I was in about 6 months before I switched over to weekend option. And I think a lot of times they do like you to wait, but I had a very accommodating manager on my unit. I explained why I wanted to switch over to weekend option, and just told him why, because I was in school. I was like, hey, you can have me as a weekend option employee and you'll still have me for the next 2.5 years, or I'm going to have to find something else that works.
Yeah, and let me just mention
Yeah.
too, that the first 4 semesters are online. So if you start in June, the first time you are going to start having clinical and on-ground class is not going to be until the fall of 23.
Okay.
So think about that time frame. That's a year and
Over
a
a year.
half.
Yeah.
Okay.
That you
Yeah.
will have been working as a nurse. So certainly enough time for you to look into that weekend option.
That's exactly what I was getting ready to say. And the only reason that spot popped up, so I grabbed it when it was there, because weekend option spots can be hard to find. You don't really need to do that. Like change your schedule till you really get into clinicals, my opinion, because that's when you really need that week time to work. You need, I felt like a predictable schedule. So that way I could schedule my clinicals anytime and I didn't have to worry about what my schedule for work was going to be, because I knew it was always going to be Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
And I think also, that's what I did also. I was still full-time when I was taking those other credits. And then after the semester proceeded on, I went to weekend option also, especially with the clinicals, so that you can have enough time to prep for clinical and your assignments. But initially I was full-time all the way until I was getting ready to do my clinicals.
Okay. And then also, being that I will be a new grad nurse and you guys are still accepting applications, do you think it is appropriate for new grad nurses to apply for this next cohort? Because I feel like I get a lot of different feedback, a majority of saying, no, are you crazy? Go and get experience first, but it's like how much experience would ever be enough, because it's all specific to different units. So it's kind of like I want to apply, but then I'm like discouraged instantly when people are like, it's just better for you to have experience and kind of work maybe 3 years or something before you start looking into FNP. So like,
And that is traditionally, probably 20 years ago, that was a very traditional thing to say. So I think if you're hearing that, you might be hearing it from RNs who have been nurses for a long time. But several years ago, they started encouraging good students to think about graduate school sooner than later, because what happens is you graduate, you start making money, you go out into the world, you get comfortable, and you don't always come back. When you apply, if you are admitted, you will have been an RN for several months before you take your first FNP class. And then you will have been an RN for a whole nother year and 2 months before you start any clinical.
Okay.
So you are getting experience along the way. And I think, I can't remember if Gladys came right in, but I know, well,
No.
Matthew did, I know,
No,
you
yeah.
within 6 months. Did you come in with, well, no, you finished your BSN earlier, didn't you, Gladys?
Yes, I did. I finished my BSN 2008. I wish
That's
I
right.
could have joined right away. I think I would encourage anyone to do that if they want to. I kind of waited a long time because I did not have any good internet where I was staying to even do online classes. So you have to have that too. So that kind of put me behind.
Camille, what do you think? What's your opinion on that?
I mean, I do agree, you're going to have probably closer to 3 years of experience by the time you finish, get your board, get your authorization to test and all of that. So I don't know if that's necessarily going to be an issue. It just depends on what kind of student you are. It's not going to be easy. I don't think it's any harder than nursing school. I just think it's more of a time commitment. Because you have all your clinicals, you have all your papers, and I don't think it's any harder. I just think it's a huge, huge time commitment. So if you have kids and you have a whole bunch of other responsibilities, you may want to take some time off. But if you have nothing else to do and you want to learn, I say go for it.
I think what happens with some is that you look at this curriculum that we've got up on the screen here, and you see summer 1 course, and then you see fall and you see 2 courses, and you think about your nursing education when you might have had 3, 4, or 5 courses in 1 semester, and you look at that and think, oh, well, this can't be anywhere near as hard. The expectations are higher. When you write a paper, I promise you they are going to grade that paper harder than your undergraduate faculty did. Just the level of knowledge that you're going to be gaining is at such a higher level than at the BSN, that it just requires more commitment. I don't know. I've been doing this for a really long time, and I think if you are you single right now?
Yeah, I'm single, no kids, nothing like
So,
that. So.
yeah, so that's what happens is you get out into the workplace and you meet Mr. or Mrs. Wonderful, and the next thing you know, you're wanting to get married and you're wanting to have kids, and 5-10 years have passed and you're thinking about doing this in a whole different place. And I'm not sure that 5 or 10 years of experience is going to make it easier now that your life has changed and you're in such a different place.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say. It's hard to know.
And
I had some.
thank you.
One thing I think, personal opinion with the experience you get with nursing, I feel like it's the actual patient experience and working in a hospital has been more helpful with like patient interactions. So like in clinical, I don't know, my own thing is I don't think I learned a whole lot actually working as a nurse. It was as helpful necessarily with like coursework. Like maybe like with the pharmacology, like that's a different thing, and somewhat with like the physical assessment class, but a lot of it I felt was the experience really helped you just understand how healthcare works in general. And then a lot of the stuff, it seemed to me that in the NP program was predicated on that you remember stuff you learned in your bachelor's. And like they kind of expect you to carry that knowledge over, I think. So depending on how sharp your memory is, you might lose some of that if you're for too long and find it harder to pick back up, like when you're doing like the advanced patho class and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that sounds very scary. Advanced patho.
It's
I
fun.
had another question. So in terms of the what do you call it? Like, let's say I got my NP master's through research and you introduce a DNP program. How is it like, does it take a year, 2 years, 3 years to obtain a DNP after you've already gotten your FNP, MSN, or MSN FNP? Or...
It just depends on the program that you're in. I mean, like I'll be done with my DNP in May and it's taken me 2.5 years, but that's taken classes year round, 2 classes at a time. So if I would have gone slower, it would have taken me longer. It depends on the program and how many classes you take.
Okay.
I think until they do the market analysis and see what's going on, we just don't know some of those answers yet.
Okay. And
We did have another
sorry.
question. And I'm going to jump in really quick because we had another question. I just want to make sure I saw Leslie's response, but we had a couple private messages. If anybody's looking at working for HCA after you finish your BSN, the question was, you know, how do all these benefits of the 50% tuition discount and the benefits of the tuition reimbursement, you have to work for them for a while before it. And Leslie said, I don't think there's a time frame, and I don't think there is either, because correct me if I'm wrong, like we've got students that are doing that, right? Like we've got BSN students who are graduating, who are jumping right into the MSN program, and they're getting these benefits.
So there isn't a time frame for the 50 or 25% discount that we do. So the day school starts, you need to be an HCA employee and you get that tuition discount. I don't know if there is a time frame on the tuition reimbursement. Do you remember, Matthew, if there was a time frame on whether or not you could take tuition? There might be a 90-day waiting period, but again,
I think it's like as soon as you qualify for benefits with HCA, but
that you can get those. But
yeah.
I'm sure by the time you were starting school in June of 22,
Yeah.
I would think you would have all those benefits.
Yeah, those are pretty quick.
Okay, that was the only other question. And I think there might have been one more out there. Did I cut you off, Chi, if you had another one?
Oh, it's fine. I wanted to know what the pass or success rate is of the program, like how many people enroll, how many people actually go on to graduating.
Unfortunately, I can't give you, all I can be is anecdotal because I don't really have those numbers off the top of my head. But I think one of the things that both Gladys and Matthew might have both said is that our faculty are here for your success. So I don't think we lose a lot of students. I think our faculty work with students closely to make sure that if you do stumble, we can try to find a way for you to pick back up and be successful. I think our success rate on the certification exam is really high. But I can't tell you how many students start and graduate because I just don't have that attrition number, but I think it's high.
If you go to our website and look up under the About page kind of category, there is a section on student consumer info and student achievement info, and you will find our graduation rates there. And so you can see on that website right now for MSN employment for the graduation year of 2019, 100% were employed in field at the time of graduation. And I think the graduation rate is on there somewhere too that I'm not clicking on it quickly enough, but what you will see is the last reported is 2016 because some of them are still in that process of graduating, but you'll see the graduation rates and the certification rates and everything are listed on that webpage for you.
And what is the policy in regards to like not trying to think about failure, but kind of like how the ABSN program has their policy with failing a course? How does it work with this master level? Like, is it if you fail, you're completely out of the program and you just have to go elsewhere, or?
I think it's 2 failures. Is that correct, Camille, or is it just one? I'm
I would
questioning
have to look
that.
in my book. Luckily, we don't have that. I don't know that. That's a good thing that I don't know that.
Yeah, and I think it's a good
positive.
yeah.
Thing.
Right.
I think it's a good thing that none of us know that. While Camille's
Yeah, I would have to look in the book.
yeah, it's either 1 or 2.
Yeah.
One thing I will mention, graduate school, unlike undergraduate school, those credits don't last very long. So some students have said, well, I'm going to come in and take advanced patho, advanced pharm, and advanced health assessment and get those under my belt, and then I'll worry about the rest of it later. If you do those and then sit out for 2 to 3 years, it's very likely that another school is not going to recognize those credits. So pharmacology and some of that knowledge base changes so rapidly that those courses need to be within 3 years. And we don't typically accept graduate transfer credit that is more than 2 to 3 years old.
It's 2. It says 2 grades of C or below result in dismissal from the graduate program.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you.
And
Gee, you're not gonna.
Yeah, for those of you who have related questions kind of like that, just know that after the webinar is over, one thing we would encourage you to do is to go to our website, go to the academic section and look at the catalog and scroll through some of the graduate information. You'll find a lot of that detail in there as well. The grading scales, all of those things. Okay, we've got just a couple more minutes. Were there any other questions that you all had?
I just have one more comment to make. One more perk of research. The last 2 years, we have been paying for a review course for the students that are about to graduate. And those review courses are what, $500, $600 each. So that's just another perk of the program is you get a review course.
It was helpful. I liked it.
Well, I don't see any more questions in the chat. So I just want to take a moment here and just say thank you to Gladys and Matthew for taking time to do this. I know it's a really busy time for you all. So thank you so much. And thank you to all of you for coming and listening, and know that you can get in touch with us anytime if you have some other questions that you want answered. But I think that's it for tonight. So thanks so much for coming, everybody. We really appreciate it.
Glad to help.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.